me. I like to be low key, down low. That's the way I roll. That way nobody won't understand or know what I have or possess. That way they won't have to be sitting back lurking and try to rob from me because I pity the fool that does that.
Everyone wants to know what's next for Caleb Plant. We've talked about it. Canelo Alvarez was not in the landscape the last time you walked to the ring. He is now, and he's talking about unifying. He has to go through you to do that. Yeah. Is that what's next for you?
That's my goal, you know what I'm saying? I want to become the first undisputed super middleweight champion of all time. And so whoever's in the way of that, it doesn't matter. You line them up, I'll knock them down right here on Fox.
How do you match up against a Canelo?
As I said before, I feel like I'm the best super middleweight in the world. So like I said, who is ever in the way of me becoming the first undisputed champion, you line them up, I'll knock them down, and we'll do it right here on the best platform you can, Fox.
Okay, so technically he didn't answer the question. When a fighter is asked by an interviewer, how do you match up versus a certain fighter, what the interviewer is looking for generally is stylistically and physical attributes. How do you match up to this fighter? Now, you don't have to give an answer direct that, states how you would go about taking on this, fighter, whoever the fighter is. But you could say, stylistically this or that, he fights like this, I fight like that. I have a long reach or, yada, 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 A lot of people are going to perceive this as Caleb Plant basically beat around the bush and avoided directly responding to facing a Canelo Alvarez. Is he scared of Canelo? I don't know. Caleb Plant is a champion. And as I've said in past videos, when you're a champion, you cannot be protected. You're a champion. There's no protection for a champion. A champion is a champion. You got to defend that title against quality opposition. So, with that being said, let's take a look at Mr. Plant's resume. Caleb Plant. 6'1", 74-inch reach out of Ashland City, Tennessee. Age 28, 21 fights, 12 knockouts, 0 losses. Man became IBF super middleweight champion in 2019, the very start of the year. I remember this fight. I can't even pronounce this guy's last name. I'm going to call him by his first name. He beat Jose, however you say his last name, to get this title. All right. He defended it against Mike Lee. Then he beat Vincent Fagenboots. Okay. Caleb Trox. Obviously, Caleb versus Caleb. That was the last fight. That was this post-fight interview that we just heard Caleb's response to a Canelo Alvarez fight. How good is Caleb Plant to y'all? I like him, though. Personally, I like Caleb Plant. Fighters can duck other fighters for a variety of reasons. One could be you're scared to lose your O. Two could be if you're facing a fighter that has exceptional power ratio in terms of how many knockouts they've had, you're scared to get knocked out. Perhaps you're just scared to get beat up. Get embarrassed. Your first loss is going to be a loss to remember because you feel this potentially may not even be competitive. This is thinking possibly fighters could have. I'm not saying Caleb's got this thinking or this mindset. I'm saying it's possibility. I'm not inside the man's head, so I don't know. What I do know is Caleb Plant is milking the cow. He's milking the cow. Any fight that poses as a potential danger in terms of a loss. Again, when you reach this level, 9 times out of 10, a fighter is not physically scared of another fighter to engage in combat with this other fighter, whoever the other fighter is. What he is scared of is fucking his money up. Because the way boxing is, it can be unforgiving at times. Caleb Plant is not a big, huge household name. Yes, he is the IBF champion. But the question is it too early to label him a paper champion? I want to hear from y'all. As always, the people, the fans, I personally like Caleb Plant. I think he's a good boxer. I think he's a solid boxer. I think he's slightly above average. I don't think he can beat Canelo. Hell, I don't know if he can beat Benavidez. I think it's possible, but I don't know if he can beat Benavidez. And again, here's another fight. David Benavidez. It seems like Caleb Plant, all signs are pointing to him ducking. A solid threat right there. These are both PBC fighters. This should be an easy fight to get made. If this fight's not getting made, one of the fighters is not willing to sign the contract. Benavidez seems like a straight savage. Honestly, he seems like he's willing to take on any and anybody. He seems more like a raw cat, willing to take on any and everybody, not scared to lose his O. And he truly believes in himself that he won't lose his O. Let's bang it out. This is another fighter that believes a lot in his power. Doesn't care how well of a boxer you are. As round goes after round, he's going to get to you. He's going to get you out of there. Or if he don't get you out of there, he's just going to give you a beat down. So a guy like Caleb Plant sees this, the thing is the psychology of a fighter. Fans are talking about this guy. You look at his resume. You look at how many knockouts he has. You look at the opponents he faced. You look at the fashion he knocks them out in or stops them in. You see all this. A lot of chat in your ear. A lot of talk in the boxing world. Pressure's being put on you now. You can't keep fighting no-name opponents, again, as a world champion. This guy has called you out before numerous of times. You've had an altercation with him in a boxing gym. So, actually an altercation with his brother, but he was right there. So, at some point, you got to fight him. But the looking at it from Plant's perspective is if I lose this fight, I fuck my money up. Because, again, he's not a big household name. So, Plant is milking the cow. He's trying to get as many fights as he can under his belt, holding on to that belt. Fights that he can win, can stay undefeated, can stay relevant. Because as long as you're an undefeated champion, you're relevant. I mean, you are to a degree. I don't know. What do y'all think? I don't know about Caleb. I like him. Like I said, solid boxer, solid fighter, pretty fast hands. But on the next level, what can he do? Hell, even a guy like Edwin Berlanga, who's a young up-and-comer, just like David Benavidez, still relatively young in his career, But Edwin Berlanga is even at a earlier stage than David Benavidez in terms of resume and who he's fought yet. But Berlanga, you can't tell me, for example, do you think Caleb Plant would be in a rush to fight Edwin Berlanga? Well, obviously not. The last thing you want to do is get beat by up-and-comer. I don't even know if Berlanga is considered a contender yet. So it's like you're getting beat by a prospect, which is straight embarrassing. But Berlanga's power. He got 16 fights and 16 knockouts. I know he hasn't faced nobody yet. So we don't know if this is elite power. But what he's done to 16 people so far, I don't think Caleb Plant would be 100% sure that you can beat this guy, no matter what stage of his career right now he's at. He ain't running to jump to sign a contract like that. And first of all, that fight wouldn't even make sense for him, so that I understand. But the David Benavidez fight does make sense. Benavidez being the former holder of the WBC title belt that Canelo now holds. That fight makes sense for him, but Potentially, what they'll probably try to do is, you think of Plant versus Benavidez, probably make it pay-per-view. Plant versus Canelo, definitely pay-per-view. From a boxing fan's perspective, Plant versus Benavidez should just be a great promotional fight. It shouldn't be pay-per-view. Technically. Because neither person, the resumes aren't like that to really make us pay for it, right? But we know it's a solid fight that we would be excited for. Canelo versus Plant, hands down pay-per-view. Just for the fact that you got two champions unifying. Probably maybe if Benavidez still had a belt, it'd help the case for pay-per-view at least. Because it'd be a unification bout. But he doesn't have that no more. Still a very solid, intriguing fight we want to see. But it seems like Plant don't want to see that. Again, I don't think he's physically scared as a champion. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I do feel he knows these guys are legit threats. Benavidez, obviously Canelo, Caleb Plant has to fight somebody next, How long are we going to keep giving him passes? How long? He's got to fight somebody next. Daniel Jacobs is at super middleweight, isn't he? That's a solid fight. Step up fight. Can't even beat Daniel Jacobs. I would question that. Because Daniel Jacobs ain't done. He ain't no stepping stone yet. He ain't no walkthrough. Not in my eyes to me. Can he beat a Daniel Jacobs? Anthony Durrell is at super middleweight. At the very least, not that this fight intrigues me heavily, but at the very least, Caleb Plant has to fight a Anthony Durrell. If you want to take it steps further, fight Daniel Jacobs. That's a solid fight. But at the very least, Anthony Durrell. Because let's be honest, somebody that you would still consider a prospect. I don't know if he's quite a contender yet. Edwin Berlanga. Plant ain't going to face him. We know that. That is high risk, no reward. And what a terrible loss that would be. Like from a boxing fan perspective, obviously you see what Berlanga can do power wise. So you go, okay, well, if he knocks out Caleb Plant, I'm not shocked. This guy just proved his power carries up more towards an elite level now. You know what I'm saying? But on Plant's behalf, and regardless how you look at it, you got beat by a contender. You got beat by a prospect. So he definitely ain't going to take that fight. This guy he doesn't even have a resume yet for him to even have a shot at Plant. Let alone Plant's not going to take that fight, and I won't blame him for that. But David Benavidez fight he should take. I don't think he'll take that next. So the two guys, and again, comment and let me know who else you think within the super middleweight division. The two guys that I see, Anthony Durrell or Daniel Jacobs. He has to take a caliber fight of that next. He can't take another no name from some other country that barely anybody knows, and they're like, oh well, this is your mandatory. Because the WBC likes to do that, the WBO likes to do that, the IBF likes to do that, but the WBC mainly likes to do that a lot. But all the sanctioning bodies do this shit. They all do it. Out of nowhere is some mandatory from another country that's undefeated, that's got a resume where you won't recognize one name. And if you recognize one name, it's some guy that he faced past his prime, used to be, a has-been, that he caught him late in his career and beat. So again, I don't know who he faces next, but it's time for Caleb Plant to step it up for sure. It's time for Caleb Plant to fight somebody of significance. Another question for y'all. Say, for example, even though he's a middleweight, I believe is it Jermall Charlo stepped up to super middleweight. You think Plant would be even interested in taking that fight? I don't think so, by the way he's moving. I think anybody that's a threat. Again, I think Plant, he's not scared physically of these guys. He's a fighter, but he's milking the cow, trying to get all the money he can get while being champion. Because once he runs into a legit threat, he's going to find out how good he is. And then, God forbid, he takes a loss. He fucks his money up. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. And, leave your comments below on what y'all think about Caleb Plant. Who do you think he should face next? Who would you like him to face next? Y'all have a good one. Okay.